The first time Emma locked eyes with Marcus, it wasn't in some candlelit bar or under a starlit sky, it was in the sterile brightness of a hospital waiting room, the kind where grief and hope share the same space. Her mother had just been diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's. Marcus was there waiting to see his niece, who had broken her leg in a bike accident. They exchanged a few words, something about how hospitals made the strongest people feel small, and before they knew it, they were meeting there again and again, like fate had drawn two broken edges to mend each other. Emma was white, from a conservative Southern family, raised in a world where race was still a quiet divider. Marcus was black, a soft-spoken high school teacher with eyes that carried wisdom and a laugh that could lift clouds. Emma's family, particularly her father, never spoke hate out loud, but they didn't have to. The looks, the insinuations, the silence when certain topics came up, it was enough. She knew introducing Marcus would mean more than just awkward glances, it might mean estrangement. And so she made a choice, one that felt temporary at first, until years passed and it became part of their reality. She married him quietly. A courthouse, 2 witnesses, and no family. But Marcus never held it against her. "Love isn't a billboard, baby," he'd say. "It's what we carry, not what we show." For 7 years, they built a life, modest but full of joy. He'd wake her with jazz music and blueberry pancakes. She'd leave little notes in his lunchbox. They danced in the kitchen, argued over movies, laughed until they cried. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Still, there was always a room in their love that stayed locked. Emma wrote letters to her family she never sent. Apology drafts and dreams of reconciliation. But fear always stopped her. Then came the diagnosis. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It was swift and ruthless. She lost weight, her skin paled, and her laughter grew hollow. She refused to move back home, refused even to tell her family. "They didn't want this part of me when I was alive. Why would they want it now?" But Marcus wanted something different. In the final weeks, she began to drift in and out of sleep, speaking to people who weren't there, calling out to her mother, whispering apologies to her father. Marcus stayed at her side, holding her hand through every fever, every hallucination. And then, one morning, when her breath had become shallow and her words barely a whisper, she grabbed his wrist with what little strength she had and whispered, "Please, tell them." He nodded, tears welling in his eyes. That night, Marcus made a decision that would change everything. He went through her phone, found the numbers she'd saved under "Home" and "Dad," but never called. His hands trembled, but he dialed anyway. "Hello?" Her mother's voice came through, hesitant. "Mrs. Collins, this is Marcus. I'm Emma's husband." Silence. Long heavy. She's not well. I think you should come." The next day, they came. The entire family. Her parents, her younger brother, even her aunt. The tension in the hospital corridor was so thick it could choke. When they walked into the room and saw Marcus, their confusion twisted into disbelief. Emma was barely conscious, but when she opened her eyes and saw them, something changed in her face. Relief. Peace. Her mother moved to her side, brushing her hair gently. "She's been asking for you," Marcus said softly. They didn't respond. Not at first. They just stared. Her father, rigid and uncomfortable. Her brother, unsure. Then, Marcus did something that would shock them all. He stood, walked over to her father, and extended his hand. "I know you may not accept me. But I love your daughter with everything I have. I would give my life for her. And in these last moments, I don't want hate to be the last thing she remembers." Her father looked down at the hand. His lips parted, then closed. For a moment, it seemed he might walk away. But instead, his hand reached out, and took Marcus's. It wasn't firm. It wasn't warm. But it was something. Her mother wept. And then Emma spoke, barely audible, but enough to hear, "Thank you." That night, she passed peacefully, in a room no longer divided by silence. The funeral was small, by Emma's request, but her family attended. They sat beside Marcus. Her mother held his hand. In the days that followed, Marcus received a letter from Emma's father. A handwritten note. "Marcus, you gave our daughter happiness. You gave her love. And when we gave her silence, you gave her strength. I will carry the shame of our absence for the rest of my days. But I promise you, this is not where the story ends. If you're willing, I'd like to know the man she loved." They met 2 weeks later for coffee. One meeting turned into more. Slowly, gently, Marcus became part of a family he had once only existed in Emma's dreams. Years passed. Emma's story spread, shared in churches, classrooms, social groups, about a woman torn by fear and a man who chose grace. People wrote letters to Marcus, thanking him for showing them what love looked like in action. He never remarried. But he lived fully. Taught students not just literature, but kindness. Volunteered at youth programs. Even started a foundation in Emma's name, helping families heal from divisions of race, orientation, and belief. And every year, on the day of her passing, Emma's family joined him at the lake where she used to love to read. They lit lanterns. Told stories. Laughed. Cried. He never had to raise his voice to make a point. He never demanded forgiveness. He gave it, over and over, until it became a bridge. And on that bridge, hearts changed.